Fantastic. Thank you so much. There was a little bit of question in the chat about the product market fit and whatnot, and what does it actually mean to go to market. And I think that this is a brilliant way to just like address this. So we have been working with product market fit with very big companies as well. Every time that they either launch a new product to a new audience or they are repivoting or something like that, even companies that are like hundreds of years old are getting obsessed with these product market fit questions, especially these times when there are so many AI companies and whatnots that kind of eat the market away from them. So that is a very pressing question to these days. What else is pressing? How to prepare for launch and how to do the research. Oftentimes I work with founders that are just like a little bit more technical or engineering, and sometimes we just have this premise to sit around in our comfy offices and wait for the launch date as it would be the New Year's Eve. But the thing is that the sooner you get it out and really see how it acts in the wild, the better you will do and the faster feedback loops will you harvest from this specific research. I was just like a part of the call yesterday. We are launching like another AI builder infrastructure thing. And we did just like this preliminary website test 2 days before the launch. And as I showed it to a couple of my guys who are data scientists, they couldn't navigate it. And this was like a serious problem because we were launching in 2 days and people who are ideal ICP didn't know how to navigate through this website. So right now we are panicking and just kind of launching the stuff 2 days before our initial launch. Long story short is that as soon as you can try testing it with either prototypes or just like lo-fi versions of your product, the better and the safer you are that this thing is really going to land. And when it comes to just like selecting the right target audience for the launch, it's really important that we are not doing this, right? So we think that bankers, COOs are going to be our best target audiences, but that we are really testing multiple segments because our product vision may be to address one segment's problems, but then it turns out that there is like another segment with shorter sales cycles and higher willingness to pay that might be a better fit. And last but not least, Samantha, if we can just move to a couple of slides. And let's do the first one, please.
Yep, sorry.
Okay, super. So this is again like the product market fit cycle, and usually it takes 5 to 7 iterations to get those moving particles right. What I always say when I'm working with companies is that, okay, product market fit potentially is building the solution that solves problems to a specific audience, but can we as an company capture a part of this value that is being created in the system and build a sustainable business out of this? This is the pricing component. And oftentimes I see companies that are just like launching on product hunts or like through some sort of social media groups, and they end up with thousands of users registrations, and at the end of the day they maybe have 2 or 3 paying customers. So this is definitely something that we want to avoid, and we will talk more about how to test willingness to pay as soon as possible. Let's switch, please. Super. When it comes to target audience selection, again, these things cannot be done in isolation on the launch date by just like our best attempt that, hey, we are trying to solve the problems for people like us or a couple of best clients that we have had. We need to conduct serious research. And here, when it comes to research, oftentimes people try to avoid personal touch at all expense possible. So there are a lot of founders who don't want to do interviews, who would just like to run some ads, see what conversion happens on the website and try to reverse engineer this based on data. But in reality, we are always operating with a couple of biases, right? And whenever we are going to market with a radical innovation, the usual preferred go-to-market strategy is not to optimize for adoption from a get-go, but to use what is called a beachhead strategy. So I'm just like dealing with one of the companies in my portfolio, and it is an AI builder for LMS. So these are chatbots in normal human language. outreach for enterprise clients. And the initial idea was that they could be doing platform to cater like multiple use cases. But we somehow went and said that we have to prove monetary traction to be investable later on. So our first segment that we cater were actually banks in the European Union. Later on, we went to Swiss insurance companies, and now we are just like slowly and gradually building up market towards other use cases. But what is mission critical here is that you cannot just say, hey, I have this friend who works at the bank, why don't we build a project together? Because when you are building the reference, it attracts more of these cases. So you also need to make sure that you are dealing with a market which is fast growing, healthy, and has this amazing potential to refer each other's companies and new clients based on the preferences that you created. I have 2 more slides and then we are off for the next one. Can we please? Super.
Yes.
So there is just like this notion of early customer profile and ideal customer profile. Ben Williams in his recent Substack, How to Market to Developers, did a beautiful just like differentiation, what are psychographics and traits of early customer profiles, because it's not always so that the first adopters will be those people who are like indie developers and love to try new stuff. There are other traits that we should consider. And oftentimes company ask me like, Maya, can I go and close a big corpo from a get-go? And I'm like, sure, of course, if you have the good proximity to the segment and you can build a solution which is 10 times better than their existing alternatives, that's super, please do it. But the majority of companies are not in this position, so they have to build use cases very gradually and move towards like more advanced market segments. This is why I always try to think that, okay, I have this ideal list of customers. So for me, they are maybe Mercedes-Benz. They are just like a couple of super innovation centers that I would like to work with. But in order to get there, I will probably have to work with a couple of VCs first and with a couple of, let's say, scale-ups and future unicorns, so that one day I will have the prerogative to be like top of the class when it comes to go-to-market strategy for, let's say, top corporate segments. I don't want that, but if I want it, that would be an ideal way to do so. So early customer profile is something that you have to do also in terms of just like making sure that you are creating monetizable traction. Why? And I mean, it's a horrible thing to say, but the last thing that you want to do, and it's definitely a good time to switch slides, is to what my friends call solves broke people problem. So problems that have like very low willingness to pay, that they are just like creating a gazillion of fake accounts because they don't want to pay for your solutions or something like that. This is a really tough market to compete on. So every time that we are doing this product market fit test, I love to pre-sell or at least like create a wait list or do any sort of other market validation which includes monetizable steps, because if I just do a survey or an interview or something like that, I am left with anecdotal proof. And especially if we are pre-seed or Series A, or just like somebody who considers themselves as a bootstrap business, we need to just like demonstrate early signals of a monetizable business. And that gets super difficult if you have this go-to-market motion in a bigger company, which is like more used to selling with resellers or sales-led stuff. And then they suddenly decide that they are going to do product-led, and just like the big clients, the big money turnover is not there. So it's absolutely essential to do this early customer discovery also in terms of testing the pricing. And 2 best questions to ask here is, how would you like to pay for it? And what would a fair amount to pay for it be? So we can talk about willingness to pay for ages. It's one of my favorite subjects. I'm sure that there will be like a couple of questions in the Q&A, but a key takeaway from this one is cool. Like there are so many segments out there. There are just like two important decisions to be taken lightly, because this is the segment that you will probably be stuck with for the next 3 months or something like that. So please use evidence, and whenever possible, try to test willingness to pay, because you might be building the wrong type of audience sometimes if you fail to do this.